and welcome. I'm Peggy. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day, and I hope that the information that we have today will be enlightening and maybe even life-saving. And Jack Logan is here with me, and I've come to know and respect Jack Logan. If you've watched the show, he has been on before, and he founded something called Put Down the Guns Now, Young People. Jack, bless you. Thank you for coming.
And thank you for having me.
What is Put Down the Guns Now, Young People, and how did you happen to form this organization?
Our organization is about educating children and teens to stay away from gun violence and teaching them a better path of life instead of picking up a gun. And how I got started in this, a friend of mine had a friend of his in Spartanburg, South Carolina, who her friend, sons, had committed murder at the age of 15 and 16. And so he talked to me about those two young men who had gotten in trouble. And that was on March the 22nd of 2009. But what he didn't know, that I had sat in those two teens' trial, but I had no idea that he and his girlfriend knew those same two teens who had been convicted of murder in Spartanburg County. So he asked me on March 22nd of 2009 to start reaching out to kids about gun violence, and I brushed him off, basically. So on March 26th of 2009, he was killed in an automobile accident here in Greenville County. So from March 26th of 2009, every time I would pick up the paper, I saw on social media where a teenager had gotten in trouble for possessing a gun, I thought about what he asked me to do. I started praying about it, and then on November 21st of 2010, God chose me to go out and do his work, and then I went out and recruited people to help me.
So you go all over. I know you've been to Chicago, you've been various places where there are troubles. Mm-hmm. And we would like to think that we live in this wonderful, sunny South, and everything is good. And we do have much to be grateful for. But we also need to be aware that there are people with problems and how we can help parents and young people. You go to schools, you go into various places to talk to people about gun violence.
Yes, we go into schools, we go into community centers, and also we grassroots. And we enjoy doing that in trying to prevent a mother from going to a mortuary to look down on her child. If we can prevent that, then we don't have to worry about another mother going to a prison for the rest of her life to visit her son or daughter.
Okay, now you found a need. You saw a need. Mm-hmm. You're a local, you're a South Carolina man. Do you have training in law enforcement, or what brought you to this?
No, I was, like I said again, my friend asked me to do it. Yeah. And like I said again, I brushed him off and thought he was a nut. And so then I started hearing about gun violence. And I started praying about it because my mother was still living at that time, and my father, and I was afraid to do it because I thought that somebody may go in and bother them. Because I started hearing about gangs, which I didn't pay that type stuff any attention back in 2009. So then, like I said again, I prayed about it till God chose me, and I've never picked up a gun. I've only picked up toy guns that we do illustrations with when we host events to teach children.
So now tell me about these events that you hold. Do you go into the schools, or how do you do this? Well,
we go into schools, and also when we host events, educational events, we teach teenagers and children not to point guns at anyone, because you have to assume that every gun may be loaded, even a toy gun. If you take a water gun, a BB gun, and point it at someone, that other person may not realize that that is a toy gun, and they may have a real gun and do bodily harm to you, because the gun manufacturers make real guns now, just like the same color as a toy gun. And those are things that we try to prevent.
It's hard to tell the difference.
Right, and we try to teach kids always to obey authority, including law enforcement. And such as if they get stopped by the police, if they're old enough to drive a car, don't be fumbling around because the police may think that they're reaching for a gun. As well as we hide toy guns, and we give kids directions to go pick up anything off the floor, but don't touch nothing other than the paper that we hide the toy gun under. And so if they touch that toy gun, like most kids would do because it's different colors, and then we educate the parent that they need a gun lock because that toy gun could have been a real gun and that would have hurt that child.
So now many people have guns. I mean, our Constitution gives us the right to bear arms. Our forefathers put that in that Constitution so that no foreign element could take us over.
Right.
That we could remain free, an independent nation.
That's right.
That's why they did it. Now we've come away from that, and it has another meaning.
Well, we believe in the Second Amendment, but at the same time, we have people out here, we have parents, and not just so much of parents, we have just a common man and woman who possess a gun and leave the gun on the table or on a dresser when they leave for work. And if that burglar comes along and steal that gun, well, then that burglar can take that gun and go do bodily harm. So now what we're trying to encourage people to do, to get a gun lock. When your gun is at home, keep the gun on lock. So that if that burglar go in and steal that gun, he may steal the gun, but he can't pull that trigger to hurt someone. Because a lot of people have been hurt by a gun being stolen. Just like Officer Jacobs here lost his life when the boy stole his dad or granddad's gun and gave it to another teen, and they used that gun was used in the officer's death. And there's been so many other situations. There was a little girl down in Lawrence County, lost her life when the granddad had his shotgun in the back of his truck, and a teenager pointed the gun at another teen. The gun went off, and she lost. Such as that, if you're going to leave a gun around, have that gun locked. Whether you have a child or not, that protects and prevents an innocent person from getting hurt.
Now, the other side of that argument, and I've heard people say, oh, well, that's good to keep it all. But if somebody is breaking into your home or accosting you, and by the time you go and unlock the case and get the gun out, you might as well not have a gun.
I'm speaking about if you're going to work, if you leave your gun at home.
Okay.
If you leave your gun at home and you're going away from home, that gun should be on lock. And especially if you have children in that home, that gun should be on lock because that child can get that gun and accidentally hurt themselves or hurt another sibling. And but even again, if you have a gun and if you live alone or with your wife and the two of y'all are going to be gone from home, that gun need to be on lock because we have a lot of people who burglarize homes and they go in and steal a gun and that gun was on lock when they go in to steal it. They may steal the gun, but they cannot pull the trigger. And that would prevent those innocent people from being hurt. Just like during the Christmas break, there was a 12-year-old kid in Lexington County touching a gun, playing with a gun, and went off and killed him. In Inman, South Carolina, there was a teenager who was at another house, a sophomore from Boiling Springs High School. Another teen pointed a gun at him. The gun went off. Some said it was an accident. It's still been investigated. He's dead. Those type things. If that gun had been locked in Inman at that home, little Quest would not be dead today. If that gun had been locked in Lexington County, that child would not be dead today. And there's so many other situations. There's a lot of police shootings where policemen have lost their life.
Yes.
Where people have stole guns. If those guns had been locked, those officers would be still living today. The same way with so many other children and teenagers being killed and adults. If those guns had been locked when those people stole those guns, a lot of people would be still living.
Okay, so Jack, you're telling people if you have a gun and it's all right. I mean, you're legally
Right.
it's available for you according to our Constitution.
Right.
But you should always keep it locked.
Right. If you're not there with your gun.
Yeah.
Right. If that gun is not in your possession, that gun should be on lock, because people are breaking into cars, stealing guns. And as well, I go back and remind even parents who keep a gun in their car, in the trunk, or in the glove department. You have kids who have lost their life when a mother get out of her car, carrying in bags, the gun is laying out there, and then another child touch the gun, and the gun goes off and either hurt that child or another child.
Someone else.
And so a parent have got to be responsible and be more thoughtful of just leaving a gun laying around, because we're losing too many people. But on the other hand, Ms. Denny, we having too many adults who are going out to nightclubs and who are not supposed to be in the possession of a gun anyway, because they're convicted felons. And I'm here to tell them the FBI is getting ready to crack down on them. And we're trying to even prevent them from going to prison, because they're going to prison with a mandatory sentence, because they have been told they are not supposed to be in possession of a gun.
Now, this is somebody who has a record, a criminal record.
Right. We had 2 brothers killed in Richland County on Broad River Road at a club less than a half mile from Sled. We had 2 cousins killed in McCormick, South Carolina at a nightclub. We had another young man killed in his home down in Calhoun Falls by his personal friends, people who are not supposed to be in possession of a gun. Just here in Greenville 2 nights ago, off Rutherford Road, there was a man robbed and murdered. And these people, knowingly, they're not supposed to be in possession of a gun. And I want the courts to not only prosecute them on a state level, but when they finish the state prison sentence, let them go and do the federal sentence as well for being in possession of a gun.
So what does our law actually say about possession of a gun? Is there
We mean for
just an average person?
Okay, well, a person...
You can go in and buy a gun.
Right. Well, in the state of South Carolina, you can buy a gun off the street. You can buy a gun off the street.
And there's no background check or anything.
There's no background check. But that person who's possessing it better hope that weapon is not a weapon being used in a violent crime. And number 2, that most people who buy guns off the street, the majority of them are convicted felons. But at the same time, we have been in upscale subdivisions when we handing out gun locks. When people who are law-abiding citizens want a gun lock, and I'm glad to give them a gun lock.
And they're free, aren't they, gun locks?
Free. And if anyone wants a gun lock, we have, since being on this show, we have driven to Columbia, South Carolina to meet people to give them a gun lock from people watching your show in need of a gun lock. But you don't have to call us. You can go to your local law enforcement and get them.
They're free.
They're free there too. But what people are afraid of, especially the people who are not supposed to be in possession of a gun, they know that the police will run their ID. But we'll take them a gun lock. I don't care, if they are illegal, we'll take them one to make sure that child won't be hurt by a gun.
Well, now we have a phone number for Jack Logan, and we've had it, I'm sure, and we'll put it back up on the screen. And if you want more information about, he knows what the law says and what we can do and what we can't do. And also a little bit about put down the guns, young people, now. We'll be right back. Stay with us.